Good morning, my beautiful souls. It is Saturday, and I am so excited. Today is the official day. This is the first podcast, and I'm sitting here with my first guest. And first, let me just create the scene for you guys so that if you hear anything, you know exactly what's going on. We are sipping this morning, me and my guest, some coffee, and we're eating a little breakfast. So we're both moms, so you know how that is, so you can understand. So if you hear anything in the background, you know exactly what we're doing. Also, excited for the first guest and to announce who is sitting with me this morning on this, I want to say lovely Saturday. It is raining. I don't know where everybody is today, but it is raining outside. But in here, it is all good. So, first, I want to announce the first guest today is not one and only Tinica Rose. So, I'm excited. To announce this. Yes, Tinica Rose is somebody that not only I follow, her music is amazing and very uplifting and inspirational person. I thought, what better way to have her as my first guest? Not only that she is a family member of mine, my little sister, proud to say. I just wanted to share her story and I want to talk to her a little bit, and you guys could hear how she has gotten to this point and this highlight in her career and how she is walking in her path and in her purpose and what it took to get there. So I'm going to take it away and let Tinica Rose introduce herself.
Hey, Nation. So, like she said, my name is Tinica Rose. I am a singer-songwriter based out of Mount Vernon, New York. um, you can find my music on iTunes and pretty much all platforms. Um, so yeah, so I'm happy to be here today.
And
I'm
we're
excited to see what's in store. So yeah.
So let me start by asking the questions that the people want to know, um, just so we could kind of have this on a guidance. The first question that I have, and everyone would like to know, and I know my uplifting hearts and souls, you know that this is always about uplifting your soul. So I want to talk a little bit about how did you first start working? I don't want to say working. How did you first start working on your purpose? Like, how did you know that this was your path, this was your journey, this was everything, this was your passion?
You talking about my musical journey?
Your music, yes.
I've been singing for a very long time, as you know. Um, it's not even so much of what I always. When I was younger, I always wanted to be a singer. Like I knew it in my spirit, but you know, I didn't have necessarily have like the greatest support system initially, and I got a lot of no's, and people would tell me why I shouldn't do it. Um, but I just had a passion for it. Like anytime a person would tell me that I couldn't do something, it would challenge me to go and do something. And so I think it was my stubbornness that kind of put me on the path to music, because it didn't start off as my strength. Writing has always been my strength because I've been a writer since childhood. Like 8 years old, I've been always writing like poetry, and that was my realm. Singing, I've always sang, but nobody's ever really taken me that seriously until I took myself seriously. And what I mean by that is that I was consistent. Um, I didn't stop, and even when it got hard, I would just work harder. I would practice every single day. Um, my cousin, or our cousin, Tana, she had like this little keyboard she let me borrow, and I would practice the scale every single day. I would sit in my room for hours writing, working on the transition of being a poet into a songwriter. And I think what led me to my path, like I said, it was just, I don't know how to explain it. It's just, I've always felt so compelled, and I didn't allow any of my circumstances to prevent me or to stop me from doing what I love. And I'm not even at a place to where I truly want to be, but I'm nowhere near where I started, so I'm grateful for that.
So I'll direct and say, and that's amazing and that's great. I know that, you know, just to get a little bit in deeper, and what we do here in Uplifting Hearts and Souls is that, you know, we get faced with so many obstacles. We have people telling us that what we want to do is crazy, it's ridiculous. No, you're not gonna succeed. People put so much their fears and project over your life. How have you overcome some of those obstacles to get to where you are now?
Um, how I've overcome those obstacles, it was just doing the work. Sometimes, you know, it can be hurtful, but at the end of the day, God places a vision inside of you that not everybody's gonna get right away, and that's okay. It's not really for them. It's mainly for you, and it's just figuring out your path, and like really persevering in despite of anything else. Like, people are always gonna tell you what you can't, because in their mind they'll try to limit you, either out of fear, like you said, because they're unable to do it, or they're placing their limitations on you. Either way, you know, you know, like you need, it's time, like you have to tap into your personal compass, and like your strengths and your weaknesses, and the more you work at something, it's only gonna get better. I mean, you just have to be okay with being bad at first, and I think that that's the hardest part, is being bad at first. But if you're consistent and you're long enough, something's gonna come out of it.
That's good. I want to say, how does your support system, how does your circle play a role in your everyday life? Because I know, we don't go through life by ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we have friends, family. I don't know who is the closest. I don't know who's in your circle, but how do they pretty much play a huge part into what you do every day?
I have a very supportive circle of friends who respect what I do, who encourage me. Um, just when I feel like it's gotten too hard, or I feel like I want to give up, I feel like somebody comes out of the woodwork and they hit me up and they remind me of, like, what I'm doing and how it matters. Um, and just the idea of knowing that you're able to touch at least one person and make a difference in one person, it's kind of the fuel that propels you forward. So it's what keeps me balanced. It keeps me reminded that God has purpose for what it is that I'm doing, and He's using me to reach people in different ways, and that's something that I don't take for granted, and I'm very grateful for. So I just make sure I do my due diligence to show up and to continue to work on my craft, and continue to grow as an artist and as a woman, as a mother. Yeah, so I hope that answered that.
Yeah, that did. Um, and like you just mentioned to the audience, if they didn't know, um, that you are a mother, single mother. So, shout out to all my single moms who are holding it down, and that, it's not an easy task. Even if you are co-parenting with the father.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm more of a single co-parent.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
mean, I need to clarify that, but also I just had to shout out to the single moms who don't have that other person helping them out. But she is co-parenting with her son's father, which is amazing and great. How does that play a role in getting to the studio? Like, how do you? I want I want to explain this to the audience,
Um,
is that you get up every day and you work a 9 to 5 job, and you have a son that's in
I
I'm
just
going to
have a
say
son.
private school. Well,
I'm gonna
he's
say
in academics. He's in
okay.
a really good school.
He's in a charter school
He's in
now.
a charter school. So he's in a charter school, and I want to know, for anybody out there who's passionate about doing something, how do you make that work? With his father, how does that?
Well,
Because you have, studio time, you got to record, you have shows. Like, a lot of you, I don't know if you know or you follow her, she's very busy. I probably maybe see this girl sleep maybe 3, 4, 5 hours at a night. So I was just, anybody passionate about something, how do you, because I know
you
it's a
just
balance.
figure
So
it out. No, I mean honestly, it is a balance. I'm just trying to figure out that balance, but for the most part, no, my son he used to be in private school for the majority of his academic career, and that just is just a sacrifice, that you have to make financially, and I've been blessed enough to his father understood the importance of that, and therefore like we've always been able to negotiate, um, and take care of our responsibilities in that aspect, um, but yeah, I think the idea is just to do, like, I don't ever look at the overall problem, like, or not problem, or like challenge as like a whole. Sometimes you have to break it down into pieces and see what you can do, and for me, it would be like during my toughest days, it would be a day to day process. So I would know that I would have to get certain things done, and I would know I would have to go to work, I would have to go to the gym, or I would have to like go to school, um, and I would just go one day at a time. If I had studio, a lot of the times in the beginning of my live performances, I would take my son with me. He would come to every rehearsal. He would ride the train with me, back and forth. He would come to my gigs. Um, so he's always been a part of a big part of my pursuit. And yeah, I think having my son young, kind of put a lot of things into perspective. But I've always included him in everything that I did for the most part. Now, in present time, I have a support system of my family, so luckily if I have to gig, somebody is willing to keep him, so that I can go out and do what I have to do, network and come back. Um, but I just don't make any excuses. Oh, like, I mean, I'm still human, so but I try not to make too many excuses for myself as to why it can't get done, and I just get done what I can to the best of my ability, and as long as I'm doing my best, I trust that, it's benefiting my process.
right, because your passion and your work, your craft is only going to be as good as you put into it. So that's well said, and that's amazing that that you've installed that into him so young. He is, and I'm not just saying this because he's my nephew. Like, he's an incredible little human being. I mean,
I
I call
appreciate
him a
that.
little genius. His worth ethics already, and he's going to be 11 next week, and it's pretty amazing for him to have this installed in him. And he's just quite the character. My grandmother always calls him little Obama, but he's something. And we
Interesting.
know,
He might be a smart guy.
yeah, we know he's going to be something amazing when he grows up. I'm seeing Harvard,
Thank
something
you.
in his future, but I see something big with this guy. And
So
it's always
thankful.
great because we always second guess ourselves when we have kids really young and when we're passionate about our craft. If our kids are getting enough time with us, and are we doing everything as we can as parents? So
Yeah.
it's amazing to hear that. And also, coming from a big family does help. Shout out to our siblings. That has not only helped me, but has always also helped her as well. Whenever we're trying to get to where we're trying to go, that's always amazing too. And also, I want to sit here and say, how does your, because I'm always talking about energy and space and uplifting your soul and how you need to fill your cup up. How do you do that for yourself? Because how do be coming from a big family and there's always somebody around? How do you take time to regroup and heal and process life?
Um, I think part of being an empath and being able to feel so deeply, which also aids into my artistry, is taking time out to recharge, and understanding that that's okay. a routine helps, like creating a routine. For me, it's, I go to boot camp that allows me to kind of like do something for myself, um, outside of everything else. Sometimes I like to wake up really early, before the rest of the house, and just sit and just drink coffee and like just sit with my thoughts. Um, yeah. My son, he goes with his dad every other weekend, so like for me, it's that's also giving me time to myself, and what that does is like sometimes I just go out, like I'll take myself out, um, whether it be to the movies, to dinner. I do a lot of things alone that gives me that time to kind of like get to know myself, get to know like the things that I like to do, the places that I like to go. I go to shows, like live shows by myself. Um, it just creates a healthy balance before like welcoming people into my space. First, you want to cultivate the type of space that you want to have, or you want to live in for the rest of your life, and the energy you want to keep that way. You're making sure that you're, when attracting a mate or attracting someone else or allowing someone else into your space, they're able to function in that capacity, or you'll be able to feel when something isn't right, and where to eliminate. So I think that time alone is very essential in your personal development, and it's necessary.
Right, right. As I always talk about self care and protecting your energy, protecting your space before, just entering into the world. So I think that that was well said as to how you balance that. One of the things I want to tap into is, I don't know if you guys have ever listened to her music, but the lyrics are, I'm telling you, they speak from the soul. So I kind of want to get into that a little bit. You just released No Label. Congratulations. It's been phenomenal. I play it every single day. It's my repeat. I always say that's going to be the song that, you don't have to really cut somebody off, but you could just play it and they could kind of get the hint. How do you, I want to say, I don't want to specifically just go into No Label, but we should go into No Label because it is your latest track that you just released on, if you guys don't know, it's on Apple Music and where else?
Spotify, Tidal. It's on all major platforms.
Okay,
streaming platforms, and you can purchase it.
Okay.
It.
So you guys can,
Purchase
it,
stream,
support, stream.
Because I don't think people understand, like, streaming. It's like a half a cent a stream, like. But
I think it's becoming easier to stream.
Stream it, but in terms of royalties.
But we want to buy,
buy,
support.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, but not to cut you off, to answer your question, about what was it?
Where do you tap in the lyrics? Where does the and I know we're talking actually. No Label. I was saying we were just talking about No Label, since that's your latest release. Where did you tap into that emotion? Where did it come from? I know a lot of it is like soul. It's like it's from the heart. I always feel like whenever you come out with a song, it's like, oh, is she talking about my life right now? But I feel like a lot of people could relate to No Label.
I wrote that song. I wrote No Label. Well, actually, I never wrote it. Let me just correct myself. How that song came to be is really funny. Well, it wasn't really funny at the time, but it was a voice note, and I was having a conversation, and I felt like I couldn't really express myself in that conversation. So when I ended the conversation, I was like already in the middle of a writing session. I just played the beat and I just started to like just kind of speak my mind. And when I played it back, I just really, really loved it. And I sent it to my manager at the time, and I was like, yo, I think this might be something. And he was like, all right, Z. And I'm like, all right. So I hit up my engineer at the time, and I went into the studio and I recorded it, and I loved it. I loved it. So I didn't really tweak anything too much to the record. Maybe like in certain spots so that it flowed a little more effortlessly. But if you notice, like when you're listening to it, there's no like real. It's just more like a stream of conscious. So it's like a thought, a continuous thought that leads into the next thing, and which is also, it's also a writing style for poets. So there's like just a bunch of combinations of different types of art into one song. So I'm glad that people are receiving it. It's definitely a record that I appreciate, because it is raw, and it's as raw as it feels is as raw as it came to be. So I try not to like touch up on too much. If I like it, like, you know what I mean, like if you do something you're like, wow, I think this might be something. I don't like to mess it. I don't like to tweak it because I feel like everything has a purpose. So so yeah, that's really how the label came to be. That's really how a lot of records came to be, actually. Even on The Girl Behind the Sarcasm.
And I was just, and not even to cut you off, but since you brought it up, and I was just about to tap into it. So for the listeners out there, if you don't know, The Girl Behind the Sarcasm was the first project that Tinica Rose has worked on. And I wanted to kind of conflict. And if you guys haven't, it's also out on all major platforms as well, The Girl Behind the Sarcasm. And if you haven't seen a live show, I encourage you to follow her. Follow her on IG, Instagram, Facebook. Tinica Rose is Tinica, and then Rose like the flower. And go and see a live show. I promise you, it's almost like you're listening to the record. It's amazing. I actually went to a live show, and I went to several, and I was just like, each live show I went to, I was blown away each time. So she definitely knows how to put a show out. She, one of the things I like that she does is the 3 words at the end. The fact that people could just throw a couple words in the audience and she could create a song. That's genius. Like, where did that even come from? And that's not even, I'm going to go back into The Girl Behind Sarcasm, but I feel like I want to talk about that because that's something that you do in all your sets.
So interesting that you say that, because I feel like I've always downplayed it, like, but I'm realizing, I guess it is pretty cool. I saw someone do it, something similar. It wasn't exact. And also, if you remember Whose Line Is It Anyway, is a show. It's like a comedy show that used to come on ABC.
Okay, I don't think I've watched.
We didn't have cable, so like.
Yeah, I don't think I've watched that, but
and
okay.
It was a comedy show, and Wayne Brady would go up, and he would the audience would call out like job titles or something like that, and he would make up a song that had to do with like these job titles, and I always thought it was like really cool. Then I saw like this rapper do something similar once, and I was like, I can do this. Exactly what I said, I can do this. And my really good friend Glenn Dallas will be her and her husband Odin, which is the person that usually plays the guitar for me. He's a phenomenal artist. He's a Christian artist, and he plays the guitar, and he usually works most of my shows. They spoke to the people at Lehman College and pitched my first show. So I didn't even know I could even write a full show until the opportunity presented itself, and it was given to me, and it was so cool to watch like your complete catalog come to life. They've always believed in me, and they've always pushed me, and I'm like so appreciative over it. But what I was saying is we did the Girl Behind the Sarcasm. That's who's playing on there, O'Dane Wilby, and he.
Which I want to just highlight O'Dane real quick for anybody who doesn't know, and she has said that he does play the guitar, but let's not downplay his talent. He is an amazing amazing guitarist, but he is a Christian artist and
an amazing singer.
He's an amazing singer. I mean, I was blown away when I saw, and I didn't know he could sing. I was like, oh my gosh. But he is an amazing, and I also want to highlight that you could also find his music on all major platforms, right, as well?
Well, he has a single out.
Okay, he has a single out, Fly. And if you haven't...
It's on all major platforms.
It is on all major platforms. I've already got the song. I love the record. I love what it stands for. You know, we're going to have to get him on here one day and talk about, you know, some things. But yes, guys, and you could, and Odane, for most people,
it's O_Will and WILL and then _B.
Right. Yeah, go support my brother. I mean, it's amazing. You guys will love it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so to tap in a little bit more into the girl behind the sarcasm, which was the first
well, it was my first EP.
Your first EP. If you guys haven't checked it out already, please, I encourage you. There's a song on there that I have to say a lot of people could probably relate to.
WHH.
Before we get into WH, before we get into that whole thing, the song I'm talking about is I-isms. And for most women out there, if you have any issues, you need to go listen to this song. I'm telling you, I feel like it will definitely tap into what you're feeling. Yes. I-isms for you, you know, for the people who don't know, why don't you talk a little bit about where that come from, where that stems from?
I-isms is actually, it's funny because it has to do with, part was Odane. So when my son was younger, he used to have like this car seat that's like, you know, for like the airports, like a travel car seat. It had
right, I remember that, the 4 wheels. I thought that thing was dope. It had like
a little flimsy handle, but you know, it was a car seat. So anyways, so I was at Lehman, and I was trying to carry it down the stairs, and O'Dane wanted to help me. But I'm like, you gotta be careful. Like, I'm trying to direct him because the handles are flimsy. And he was like, that's why you single, because you can't take help. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. I said, oh, okay. I said, you know what? I'm not going to be mad. I'm going to write a song about it. And I went home, and in like maybe less than 45 minutes, I wrote I-isms. And then I came back to the next rehearsal. We was rehearsing for Dirty Laundry. That was the first full-length show. And so I came back to him, and he laughed so hard. He couldn't believe that I literally wrote this song. But the song was fire, so he was like, you know we're performing this. I said, absolutely. And then that's really how that song came to be. And it just stems on all the different things that, you know, all the different triggers that, you know, we sometimes have, whether it be like daddy-isms. Like, we all have an ism about us.
Right.
That kind of like creates this barrier, especially if there's parts of you that haven't truly healed. So it's like, you know, sometimes it's the self-sabotaging, and
yeah, I agree.
It's the constant, you know, the lack of trust, and it's really because you don't truly trust yourself because of your mistakes and stuff like that. You're not trusting in what you already know, what you learn.
Right.
So it was definitely a very fun record, and it taught me a lot. So it's one of my favorites, and that's what it ended up making it to the EP.
And I feel like that's great that you turn a little comment, a small comment. I don't think he was being offensive by it, but however, because, you know, people receive messages in different ways. You could have took that and ran with it and, you know, been very upset, but you turned it around, and it's actually an amazing, incredible song. So if you guys haven't checked that out already, you might want to. I think you guys will enjoy The Girl Behind the Sarcasm, and there's a lot of deep songs. So I want to say, from The Girl Behind the Sarcasm to the new project that you're working on right now, and I want to say, not only you released No Label, but before No Label, it was B-Side Vibes, right?
B-Side Vibes,
and then
Self-Sabotage.
Mm-hmm. So far, those 3 songs, and if you guys, you're also on SoundCloud too, if anybody doesn't know.
Yeah, I have SoundCloud.
SoundCloud.
I'm also on Audio Mac. And exclusively to Audio Mac, I released another song called Still.
I was gonna get into Still. I was holding on to that because that's like my little baby. I love it. It's like the newest. Like I find I can't say that you haven't released anything that I don't like. All right. Hey guys. So sorry about that. You know, when you're having fun recording, sometimes things happen. No, we had to take a quick little break real quick. Just to kind of pick up where we left off. We were talking about the girl behind the sarcasm, and we were talking about what had happened was,
which is WHHW.
Right, and that is off the girl behind the sarcasm, right? And I was talking about how I saw a live show of this project, which was amazing, gave me goosebumps. But that song particularly spoke to me out of all the songs that she performed that night. Because I was in most people know I was in a relationship for about 7 years, and it was tough, and that song, I mean, I literally was crying. Nobody really saw this, but I was crying in the audience because it spoke to me. It spoke to my relationship and my partner at the time. I was just like, this is us. This identifies everything of how I feel. So it did open the door conversation, but not to shed too much light on that relationship. It's no longer with us. I'm okay with it. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace to that situation. On to, new and better things. But like I said, that song, where did it come from, and where did you get the lyrics? Because like I always keep saying, her lyrics are so deep and so profound. You sure you're not listening to my conversation? When I talk to you, do you turn them into songs?
It's so silly. I actually, this song, I wrote this at a very low point in my life, and I was just like, I had gone through like a really big thing at the time, and I was talking to our little sister, Q, and we were just like talking about life and stuff like that, and it was just like how we are, like, in the morning, probably over breakfast, and then I just went into my room, and I just oddly enough, this song was actually, when I first wrote it, it was to a faster beat. Like it was more like a, not like a techno or a dubstep, but it was like a more up tempo track. What made me switch it to acoustic was to fit it into the show, and I felt like the song was so powerful that I had to sing it in front of people. Like I needed people to hear the song, but because I loved it so much. But yeah, I wrote it from a very honest place. I think that I think people can relate. I was actually fasting when I wrote this song. So during that fast, you just like pray more, and just kind of like it was like a social media fast, so I didn't have any distractions. There was nothing keeping me from anything. I just had a conversation, and I went in. I had my laptop set up, and I just started. I hit record, and yeah, it was.
That's
I wanted
great.
to protect.
Yeah,
it's hard to my chest. Yeah.
Yeah, that's is deep. I definitely encourage you guys to
check it out.
Check it out so you can see what we're talking about today. I've been saying that a lot lately, but the music is definitely something that you guys can vibe to. I feel like everybody can relate to all the music that she has put out on each platform, because I feel like you speak into different generations, and you can speak to pretty much, it's not even like an age limit, I think, to your music, because I feel like everybody goes through, we go through heartache. There's no age limit on that. We go through relationships, ups and downs. There's no age limit on that.
Yeah.
Other than, I could definitely see the growth from the girl behind the sarcasm to your new latest project. Do you have a name for it, like right now?
Right now,
or
I've just been releasing singles. It's leading somewhere. So
okay, so we just have to stay tuned. Okay, so we just have to keep, getting excited with all the little releases.
I'm working on something special. So
okay.
I'm excited for this project because I was able to work with someone who I truly admire and respect. and who's truly like grinding out here. So I'm really excited for the new stuff. I know that you were able to get a small glimpse of it.
Ooh, and that, I was gonna jump into that. I was actually had the privilege of just a couple weeks ago getting like a private session. I got to listen to music that has not been released. Part of the perks of being Tinica Rose's older sister, she trusts me enough to listen to her music, not being, I don't never expose any of her music when she's not ready to put anything out. I don't jeopardize that. But I do get excited when she does send me like, hey, listen to this track real quick. It's not out yet. Don't do nothing with it. And it's so funny because she literally posts that every time she sends it to me. But I think it's pretty cool that she's always sending me her new music and I get to listen to it before everybody else. So when I'm out here watching the shows or she's performing, it's amazing to see it captivated or to see it
come to life.
Come to life. Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. You guys know me. You guys know I have my own lingo. Some of my words don't go with the definition because I'm just simply Nye. I just know silly, fun, and just living life. So another thing that I wanted to talk, and I wanted to bring this on here because we started this conversation and I wanted to add this in the segment today is that we just recently lost an icon, Nipsey Hussle. I want to talk about it with you because she posted something that, and rest in peace to Nipsey Hussle. And I say icon of our generation. I feel like he was the Martin Luther King of our generation.
The hip hop.
The hip hop part. It's really sad because I didn't know who he was or what he stand for until he passed away, and then I did so much research as to who he was. If you guys don't follow her, don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to just go into a little bit. She posted something because lately a lot of posts have been going out about relationship goals and everything like that.
On my Insta story.
Yeah, so we're just gonna come out of the music a little bit, and we're just gonna tap into this Nipsey Hussle thing. It's not a thing, but everybody's making it something. It's all over social media. Everybody wants relationship goals that he had with Lauren London. I want to tap into the conversation and actually finish it because actually what we had just for the people so they can know what we're talking about. You posted a story on your IG.
Yeah. No, it wasn't nothing big. It's just I had seen a lot of people post, like the text that Lauren had sent Nipsey, and I equally thought it was profound. It was a very beautiful sentiment to have sent him in his walking life, so he was able to appreciate the text at the time, and it just made me question, because some people are like, oh my God, relationship goals, all this stuff. And I'm like, well, how do you guys communicate with each other? Like, is this not what you're supposed to do? Because I thought it was pretty normal.
Right.
Like, it was just
like if you love somebody, you're sending them.
Yeah, you're encouraging them, you're reminding them of their value and what they mean to you. And if you're blessed enough, they would have, you guys are learning and growing from each other. And therefore, like, it's not odd that when you connect with someone, you speak on the connection and you continue to speak life into it. Right. So when I saw that, I was just like, okay, like I'm I was very saddened to hear of his death. Like, Nipsey, he's definitely become a household name, but even before that, like, before his death, like, he was just making a lot of moves in the industry. But what I respect and I appreciate a part of his journey is that he did all the work. Like, he did all the small work that ended up in the end to create a larger picture for himself. And I think to us it's like, oh wow, he did all these things, but at the time I'm sure they didn't feel as big as he wanted it to. Like, he was just now, with Victory Lap.
I agree.
That was his first commercial release of his project. Right. But he had like so many projects leading up into that point.
And that's what I was saying. He has so much work that he was doing that nobody was really shedding light on until he passed.
You were in those
places. Unless, you were in those places or you were surfing the internet and you happen to look him up.
But he's definitely, he definitely contributed to the culture.
He did.
He did. A large part of the hip hop culture. It's just Black culture altogether, and so yeah, so it's just an unfortunate event when you see a strong Black leader, you know, whose life is cut short like that.
Right.
But I truly believe that the thing about purpose will always be fulfilled, and when your spirit is strong enough, and you've done the work, it will continue on. So I feel like even in light of his death, a lot of people who weren't necessarily abreast to the things that he was doing can now go back and research his discography and kind of like, and can learn from him, because he did a lot of recording, and I think it's dope. I think that is very dope, and I think as an artist, these are things you want to know, that your art matters.
Right.
And you know, what I loved about Nip is that he was so unassuming, because people always had this preconceived notion, because he was a gang member, and you know, he's from the hood, and he spoke a different way, and with his, you know, Cali twang. It's like they just automatically think that you're beneath something, but he was extremely intelligent.
And people, and not even to cut you off, but that's where the stereotype goes in, because it's like growing up, and people always say, you know, the person that is either the drug dealer on the street will never amount to nothing, or the rapper, or whatever the case may be, whatever they have this thug tendency, or whatever they stereotype.
Which is crazy, because
he ended up, but I just had to say this real quick, because he ended up owning like a lot of property, like buying a lot of stuff. Right.
Yeah,
so he was pretty smart.
No, he's extremely smart and bright. He understood a lot of things on a deeper level, in terms of economic value and just the way that the system operated. So what he did is he just played their game. Right. And he just played it well. Like, he understood his hand. He understood the cards that he dealt, and so he took an illegal. But that's what it is. Like, drug dealing is a business. It's a business, and if you take that same business mindset and you apply it to a legit business, it'll flow into one. Will flow into the other.
And that's the thing. Some people just get greedy or get caught up in the lifestyle, right?
But the whole idea is, like, if you're gonna
invest,
and I'm not telling people, you know,
don't go out there and be drug dealers, guys. We're not promoting, but we're just basically talking about.
I grew up in the 90s, like,
right.
Drug dealers.
We're just talking about his.
They were neighborhood people who looked out for kids. I don't know these new generation of drug dealers and scammers, but back in the days, you know, they would, you know, buy out the ice cream trucks so that we could all have ice cream. They would, you know, throw block parties so we could have a sense of community. There was a lot of things that growing up in the hood, that drug dealers did for us that other people didn't do. So it's not to glorify them, but you know, Nipsey was just a reminder of I don't want to say of what is part of a dying generation, but he was a part of a generation that was different. We're all about the same age, so it's like we came from that. That's what we saw. So like, people, you know, they try to villainize gang, and trust me, gang, you know, violence is real, but they also contributed a lot to the community, because they were living in it. Right. In that sense. And even if it's something small, by helping you with your groceries, making sure you were straight. Sometimes a lot of them would make sure I would go to school. They would make sure, nah, you get off the block. It's not the time to be on it. And they would tell you when it's time for you to leave. Right. So it's like, that was just my experience personally. Growing up. But yeah, I just always thought it was interesting that people create these relationship goals based off of a few nice words. Right. And I'm like, bro, like, how are you living?
Right. And I just recently posted something on my personal Instagram. And this is just to continue. And I know we probably came off track a little bit about, you know, Nipsey. Because when you talk about Nip, you're talking about somebody who, for me personally, when I was just looking him up, is just motivation and just keep grinding and keep working on my passion. But yeah, to get back to where we originally started was about the Instagram post and the relationship goals. I feel like, and it's not even just with Nipsey Hussle and Lauren. I feel like a lot of
Jay-Z.
a lot of iconic relationships. A lot of people worship them. A lot of people say, these are relationship goals. But you guys, like, you don't know what these people go through behind closed doors. You don't know what their relationships are sacrificing. You don't know nothing. And you want to be their life. You want their life. And it's like, I just recently be your own goals, Go after something. Create your own relationship goals. Create your own journey, your own path, because you never want to worship or idolize someone else's life. Why can't you look at your own life and, want to do that or be that? Because I never want to be better than anybody other than I want to be a better version of myself. So that's where I was going with that, with the whole bringing up the Instagram post, because, I can't imagine how she feels. Actually, I will stop there. I actually know how she feels. At a young age, lost somebody that I loved and care about, and to go through death at a young age, at 14, losing somebody that you love and care about, my best friend, that was hard for me. So at 33, I can't, I don't have kids. I didn't have kids with that person. Obviously, I was really young. But for her to go through that now, and for everybody to just highlight it, just basically it should open your eyes a little bit more as to what do you want? What kind of space are you creating for somebody? And my uplifting hearts and souls, like I said, I don't just be talking about men. I don't, I'm or women. I talk to the men and the women. We want everybody to know, what space are you creating for a significant other or someone to come into your space, and what kind of goals are you setting that you want out of your own relationship, out of your own marriage?
Well, I think that, I've never been married, but I can say that I think it's important, before hooking up or connecting with anyone on any level, is a friendship. And developing a friendship allows you to just see how a person operates as themselves, because there's no pressure. And I don't mean a friendship where y'all are humping. I mean like a friendship, like a genuine support system, to where you get to see them in their element. So like, how do they deal with life? Like, how do they deal when something is not going their way? How do they respond to life? Because that's also going to teach you how they respond to you.
Right.
How do they interact with their family? That's going to show you how they'll interact with you. Like, how do they talk to themselves? Like,
right.
what type of conversations are they keeping? What do they consider to be a priority? And when you're watching and you're paying attention and you're just being a friend, you can kind of gauge if a relationship could even stem from this. And if it doesn't, the most you get out of is a dope friendship, and that's cool.
I think most people don't want to be friends first. I think that's the problem.
Because you want to test out the product.
Yeah, they just want to go ahead and just jump into it, and it's like,
you think, oh, we have a nice chemistry. And chemistry is good, but chemistry, you can have that with a lot of people. Like,
right.
Chemistry is like just our hormones and stuff like that. But a connection, I feel like a connection is something deeper.
Right.
Like, and and if you want somebody, they're like, oh, to pray together, but you can't have somebody with no prayer life praying for you. Like, who are they praying to?
Right.
So I think that it's a worthy investment in just taking your time to get to know someone, and kind of set your boundaries. Only enter things that you're ready for, and don't feel the pressure. And if you feel pressure to do something, well, then don't do it, because the last thing you want to do is to rush something prematurely.
Right. And that's just, it's crazy, because if you guys haven't already subscribed to the YouTube channel, I have a bunch of audios about different aspects of relationships. Sorry guys, my throat was pretty dry. And it's something that I always say, like, you set the tone in the beginning of the relationship, and however you're setting it, it's how it's going to manifest. So, it's crazy, because you want to create that healthy boundary, but if you're not consistent, consistency is the key, I would say.
Anything.
for anything. Consistency, communication, because people are not communicating. So if you're not communicating, you're not going to get that aspect. And it's so easy for us to just jump the gun and just assume. That's the most terrible thing. But yeah, so that was just me shedding the light on that whole situation. Like I said, rest in peace to Nip. Our hearts go out to Lauren and the family. We can't really imagine what she's going through, what her boys are going through. But we just want to take a moment right now. I really want to pay my respects and just take a moment of silence. So if we could just bow our heads, just take a quick little silence just for Nip right now. All right. Yeah, I just want to take a moment of silence, just pay my respects. But like I said, I'm excited that we were able to have Tinica Rose as the first guest on the podcast. I mean, it's been dope. Check out her music. What do you want to, is there anything that you want to say, you want to leave off on this note?
I mean, definitely check out the project. You can follow me on social media. Just connect. I feel like a part of my journey is to show everyday people that we're still extraordinary and we can still follow our passion in spite of our circumstances, in spite of what people may tell us. I think success is defined by the individual. There's no amount of accolades that could ever gauge your purpose. So it's just do what it is that you love. You're here for a reason, and it's not just to simply clock in and out. There's purpose in everything. Add value to everything that you do. Make the most of everything could be an adventure. If you talk to a stranger, speak life into them. Leave them with little things that they can pass on to the next person, and that's how you really grow. And that's how I feel like you'll continue to walk in your purpose, is to continue to shed the light. So, you can check out my music, you can follow my journey, and definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel.
Right.
I'm gonna give you all the links. My link tree will be in this audio. And I have merch coming, and
right, guys.
And I have shows. I'm actually writing a
Listen,
new show for you guys. So
one of these, I'm sorry, I get excited when something is new and I love it. Yeah, the merch just coming soon. I'm telling you, I've already previewed some of this merch and I'm getting ready. I'm telling you. Stay tuned though. The merch, definitely, that's a good come up right there.
Yeah.
Any shows? Could we look forward to any shows coming out?
I'm going to have a show in June. So June. More information to come. If you follow my social media, you won't be left out.
Okay.
I'm actually working on something that's really special for you guys. So that should be here definitely this year. And I've been working on this project for a few years now. So I'm excited.
Right.
And just a lot of new music and new ventures. So just stay tuned, because I have a lot to offer you, and I really hope that you guys just see where I'm coming from and can respect the journey. And definitely, like I said, just focus on yourselves. Also, become the best version of you, and just live life at any level to the best of your ability. Because in order for God to expand your territory and to give you more out of life, He has to be able to trust you with what is least. And sometimes the smaller things that we have that we don't necessarily see as blessings are the very thing that's going to lock us into the next level. So trust in yourself, follow your intuition, and live life. Enjoy it. It's meant to be enjoyed.
Right. So this was an amazing session. This was great. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and listening to this podcast with Tinica Rose. The journey continues. The marathon continues, as Nip says. We're going to keep pushing. We're going to keep grinding. I'm going to keep putting out some more hustle and motivating you guys. And I just dropped out. Woo! You could tell it's about that time for that second cup of coffee to roll in. I just put out 2 audios. If you guys haven't checked it out, it is a little bit about the bio of Uplifting Hearts and Souls and what we're standing for. So you guys, I obviously couldn't release that without putting this, podcast out. I wanted you guys to know a little bit of what I'm standing for, what I'm about. And then the next audio is about heartbreak. So if you haven't checked that out, anybody dealing with a heartbreak and trying to figure out how to recoup after that, this audio is going to help you, give you the guidance to actually deal with that. So yes, like I said, Uplifting Hearts and Souls 820. Follow me on Instagram. Like I said, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And just stay tuned. I have more things in store for you guys. Like I said, we're going to wrap up this session. This was great. This was awesome. Yeah, no problem. We appreciate you. And I always say we when I know I'm behind this by myself. But it's great because I don't think of it as just my thing. I think of it as all of our things. And this platform is giving the voice to the voiceless. This is for people who are struggling. So I always say we because this is our baby and not just ours.
People who are healing.
Healing, exactly. People who are healing, people, mental health is a huge issue. People who suffer from depression. I like to give this platform. This is for us. This is for us to keep growing and healing. So I'm so thankful and grateful that we were able to conquer this today.
Absolutely.
And to my beautiful souls, I want you guys to have a amazing and enjoy the rest of your Saturday. And like I said, probably when this is posted and you guys are listening to it, may not be Saturday, but it was Saturday when we recorded. Enjoy. I hope everybody enjoys their Easter. And if you don't celebrate whatever you're doing, just remember, let's spread more love and less hate. Let's keep that going. I love you guys. Continue to keep being the best and great you. Remember, only you could get in your own head. Only you could stop your journey. So keep pushing, keep fighting through. Follow the audios to guide you and help you through life. It was a blessing to even have you guys listening today with us. Thank you. And I'm out. Peace. You never know. You just never know who you could be walking next to.